Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Blonde Ambitions Podcast. I'm your host. Today, I've got a great guest. He's super, super talented. He's a recording artist, an actor, an author, a dancer, a singer, and a martial artist. Today, I have Nayyar. Welcome in, Neil.
Hi, Diana. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Happy Monday, start of a new week. Do you have any things at the new week that you like to do, to get started for your week?
Well, see, what I like to get started is every week I always like to record a new piece, whether it's for a film, whether it's a song. I would start from there. And then on the way, I would have my performances. I always get like 20 shows a month. So it's a very busy month for me. So, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And you do have an album coming out soon, Breaking Barriers. Tell us a little bit about that because you do have vocals on that as well as all the instruments that you play, which we will get into.
Yes. So, I have my first debut album coming out called Breaking Barriers. And this album has all 107 musical instruments recorded in this album. So, let's talk about this song. This song called Exploring Worlds has all 107 musical instruments recorded acoustically in one track. And by the way, this is the longest track on this album, which is under 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Next song we have here is called Chasing Dreams. This song is a rock song which actually has my vocals in it. And this song talks about my journey to Hollywood.
Mhm.
So, and this album will be released in the month of October, probably next week. If not next week, it might be delayed to the second week of October. So,
Amazing.
again, I plan to release this on all online platforms, vinyl records, and CDs. I'll give you a sneak peek on how it will look when you get the CD.
Awesome. CDs, I love it.
Yep.
That's so beautiful.
Yes, thank you.
It's beautiful. Who did the artwork for that?
So actually, like someone, an artist, which I found online on Instagram. What he does, he does like he creates like an art, and after he creates the art, he lets AI do the art for him. So he gives the draft. What he does that he paints the picture on the paper, and after he paints it, then he puts an AI and he customizes it. So that's what he did for this one.
That is so cool.
Yeah, you can see.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Amazing, Neil. You also have a Grammy submission for 2025. What other, that's exciting too. Tell us about that.
Yes. So after my album gets released, I am planning to submit this album for the Grammy submission for next season 2025. So we'll see how that goes for sure. And also, along with my album, I'm also releasing my very first book called Passion to Exploration of 107 Sound Machines. And this book has all 107 musical instruments. Let me give you a sneak peek.
Okay.
So, here is a sneak peek on this book. So, in this book, you can see I put all the instruments and I put little animation figures of me demonstrating how the instrument is supposed to be played. I put a title and also a short description of each instrument. And
Which, Neil, you know how to play all those instruments, right? Those are
Yes.
instruments. You know how to play all 107 of those, right?
Yes, and this book is for all ages and it is available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon. And now you might be thinking like, why did I create this book? Well, the reason why is every time I get an opportunity to perform at an event, doesn't matter if it's a cultural event or anything, right? For example, I would perform an instrument which is to that culture. And
Mhm.
after my performance, the people from the culture would ask me like, what instrument is this? And I was shocked that even though that instrument is from their culture, they still have no idea that this instrument is from their culture. Then I said, okay, how about I create a book which has all the instruments? And not only that, they'll get no idea of that their instrument is from their culture. So, and it's also good for kids, who want to explore music or explore new sounds they have never heard before.
Yeah, that book really, when you showed me that book in our meeting,
Mhm.
that was my question. It looks like a great book for children too, because I know my kids would really love to read that. So that's a great book. And you said Barnes and Noble and Amazon, it's going to be available. That is already out, correct? You can already buy
Yes.
that now. I'll put the information in the description box below. So if you're interested in the books or in contacting Neil, that information will be there for sure. And my next question, Neil, was how many instruments do you play besides the 107 that you
So,
find?
the current number of the number of instruments I can play is 130.
That's crazy. And you are young. So how long have you been doing this for, Neil?
Uh, I think I've been doing this. I've been in the music industry for around 12 years, and how the story started. So when I was in the mother's womb, my dad, he was at a library looking for a book, and he chose one book randomly and started reading it. And after reading the book, he read one line which mentioned if you play Mozart's music on the tiny speaker by the mother's womb, then the child will become a musician. For
Yeah.
example, if you played a scissor sound by the mother's womb, then the child will become a surgeon. So my parents
Oh,
tried the first experiment, not a second. And as time went on, when I was at the age of 6, my parents took me to a free drum class at a music school. And after one drum class, I was playing the drums like an old pro. It was like I had no clue how the instrument works, but for some reason, it felt like I knew how to play the drums. And my drum teacher and my parents were shocked. They were like, how in the world did you know how to play the drums? So after that, my parents decided to give me another instrument, which was the guitar. And after learning the guitar, I went to the piano, to the flute, to the saxophone, on and on and on.
wow.
Then, at the age of 12, that's when I made my very first world record for playing 44 musical instruments in 2017. And after that, I broke my own world record for playing 107 musical instruments at the age of 13 in 2019. And now I can play 130 instruments.
You are so talented. You just have that talent in you. You were born that way, and that's why you just knew how to play the
Mhm.
drums. You just know your way around instruments. You know your way. Is there a talent that you wish that you had that you don't have?
That
Because
is
I
a
feel like
great.
you possess many talents. So what else is there?
Huh. That is a good question. I don't know.
You'll have to
Maybe.
ponder on that one for a little while.
I haven't really thought about that. I'll have to think about it.
Yeah. We'll come back to that, Neil. No
Yeah.
problem. What I love is that you put just as much effort into your acting as you do
Hmm.
your music too, which is very impressive, as you all can see from just talking to you for 5 minutes. So, how did you get started into the acting world, if you will? Probably through music, I would assume.
I started acting when I was 10 years old, and I think at that time I probably learned how to play 20 or 30 instruments. So at the time, why I went to acting? Because, I'm a big fan of Hollywood movies. I always loved to watch movies all the time as a kid. So I said, how about I start acting? So I started with some acting schools locally. I took for around 2 years. And after taking classes and practicing, then in 2019, I got signed with an agency for the very first time. And, I didn't know how the movie industry works. So, I thought, if you have an agency, then you get more work, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
I started getting work actually. I started to get offers for auditions. Some did well, some did not go well. For example, I got a big opportunity which kind of did not work. So they were looking for a dancer for a popular rock band called Blink 182 for the new song, which was called Dark Side, which was released in 2019. They're looking for a dancer who is 13 years old and who is young. And at that time I was young and I had that kind of energy. So I sent them a video of me dancing to that song Dark Side by Blink 182. And the next day, they liked my video and liked my dancing. But I did not get selected because I was too tall. Then I found out the reason why, because after I saw the music video which was released, all the 13-year-old kids were very short than me because I was the only one who was very tall.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
they
that
just
was
it just happens like that, you know. That's 99% of the reason why people don't get stuff. You're just too tall, too short, too happy, too sad, and you just can't help it. So
yeah. So then, after that, it was okay. So then after that, I started doing auditions, and then in 2022, that's where the magic started. There was this audition I got where I had to audition for a Honda car commercial. And they wanted a video of me sitting in a car and talking about why I love my Honda car. And at that time, I had the Honda HRV. So I did an audition with me and my mom, actually, both of us. And after I sent them a video, they liked the video and they decided to do another round where I have a meeting with the director and the producer. I went online, I told them about who I am, what I do, and I told them how I can relate my music with the Honda car. And after that, I found out that I got selected to be in the Honda car commercial. And after that, the filming started, and it was a big shooting. Like, wow. Like, they filmed 2 Honda car commercials in just one day. And they
wow.
had around 40 people working on this commercial. And they filmed in local areas in Sacramento, the Golden Bridge and everything. And they also filmed at my house. And then had 4 big trucks, in the neighborhood. And even the neighborhood was shocked, there was so much noise going on because of this car commercial that they were filming. And yeah, I mean, I think that was one of the biggest projects I ever worked on. So
Yeah.
after the filming was done, then they needed the music. And the director gave me the idea saying that, he said, hey, maybe you should compose the music for this commercial. I'm like, yeah, I will do it. So I composed the music for 2 commercials. Plus, it's a rare thing to see an actor being featured on a commercial and also the same actor who has also composed the music for the commercial.
Right. Right.
So
Very
yeah,
rare. Very
very,
rare.
very rare. And that's still one of the biggest projects I've done.
And that was in 2022, you said?
Yes.
Wow, that's very recent. So you should be proud. I saw the commercials myself. They were so fun and intriguing to watch. It's kind of it's almost like you get to know Neil at the same time. Those commercials are really, really impressive
Yes.
because it does talk a lot about your music, your instruments, and I think that's so cool. And you've
Yes.
also been on so many various shows, the Jennifer Hudson show, you've been on various news shows. Tell us about that experience and what it was like.
Yeah. So how I got the call from the Jennifer Hudson show. Um, I think this was in August 2022, and at the time, I was in LA because I got invited to be on the TV news at KTLA 5, which is the biggest news station in Los Angeles. So after that interview was done, I heard that it got very popular in that year. And I found out that news somehow reached to Jennifer Hudson, casting director. And I think in October, I got a call from the casting producer from the Jennifer Hudson show, and they wanted to interview me. So I went on Zoom, I did an interview, and 10 minutes, I got a call back saying that, I got into the show. And that was the fastest callback I've ever gotten.
Ever.
Mostly when you audition, I mean, you would get a call back after 2 days, but after 10 minutes, that was so fast.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I had another meeting with the director and the producer. We discussed, what I would do on the show, what music I would perform, what instruments, Jennifer Hudson would play. And then after that, I appeared on the show. And by the way, the show was actually held in the Warner Brothers studio. That was the first time I ever got to witness the Warner Brothers studio. It was so big, so many stages, so many people working there. Wow, it was like a big army, if you ask me. And after being on the show, it was so great. I got a chance to talk to Jennifer Hudson on the show, and for a second segment, Jennifer Hudson also got a chance to create a song on a spot with her, and she also got a chance to perform my instruments on live. And actually, that is on YouTube, so please do check it out. The song was, I mean, it was kind of offbeat. I mean, it sounded like a song with offbeat tempo and offbeat note and out of tune. But
Mhm.
again, that was the most funniest song we have ever made before.
It
Yeah.
probably still sounded amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
I mean, between the two of you,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then
yeah, she's very, I mean, her voice is
oh,
so moving. What was it like in person just hearing her sing?
I mean, like, first of all, she has a very, very powerful voice, and the reason why, because she has done choir. I think in her story she mentioned she has done choir in church, so that's the reason why her voice, is so powerful and so strong. And coming back to the story, after the show, on the stage, she announced that for some reason she knew that I was interested in composing scores for film. So for some reason she found about that, and on the stage she said that she would give me a tour around the Warner Brothers studio at the scoring stages. So after that, I went to the scoring stage, and like, whoa, that was the biggest studio I ever seen in Warner Brothers studio. And actually there were musicians too. They were recording for a movie. I don't know what movie it was, but it was for Warner Brothers studio, and so many musicians, so many people working, and they also had a big screen, where the film of that scene was playing. Because how it works is that when the musicians are playing the music, at the same time they have to look at the screen to follow the scene. So it was like, wow, I think that was one of the most great experiences I have ever got. And then after
Yeah.
that, they took me to another stage where they mix and master the audio for the movies. And when I was there, they were mixing and mastering Superman 2, actually. So for like the online releases. And again, the speakers were huge. They had all over in the front, on the side, on the back. They had big mixers, like the mixer were so big than how you see in live stages, like really, really big.
Yeah.
And yeah, I must say that was the best day of my life, if you ask me.
Very, very fascinating. It's so
Yeah.
cool to see just in live action, just be like, man, I'm here and I'm a part of
Yeah.
this. And you got to sing with Jennifer Hudson. I mean, come on, that's pretty cool. So what do you think keeps you going? And because you are still young, so what
hmm
what keeps you wanting to do this day in and day out? What keeps you motivated?
I think what keeps me motivated, I think first of all, is my passion, because I really have a deep passion for music. And the second thing, of course, is that what really motivates me to create music every day is just performing, recording songs, recording scores for movies, recording soundtracks, or creating a new type of sound. I always love to do sound designing. Sound designing is a very interesting path. It's like having your own signature sound. So that's one thing which also motivates me to, do music every day. So yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear your album. Is your album going to be, it'll be on streaming services too,
Yes, I
correct?
mentioned. So the
Okay.
album will be available on all online platforms, CDs and vinyl records. After my album gets released, you can also buy my CDs and vinyls from my website, which you will link on the YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, which your YouTube is pretty cool too, by the
Thank
way.
you, appreciate it.
Yes, yes. And let's talk a little bit about your short film experience because you have dabbled in some short films. So tell us a little bit about your journey there.
Yeah, so I started film scoring in the year 2020. So that's when the pandemic hit, and that's when all my performances were gone because of the virus.
Yes.
And after that, I said, I mean, acting was doing great, but like, not that great. So I said, how about I find something else in the film industry? Then I found film scoring, and I found that, you can, if you're a musician, you can score for films, for TV series, for commercials, for documentaries, and even another business which is also booming, video games, you know? So after I
Yes.
found about that, I was like, okay, that is something new. I should look into it. Then I found a mentor, and he taught me how to compose music for films and everything else. And then in the year 2022, that was the first time, as mentioned, when I composed the music for the commercial. And then after that, in the year 2023, I got an email from a production company which is based in Reno. Their name is Mad Wife Productions, and they reached out to me saying that they are looking for a composer to compose for one of the short films. And that film was called Beyond the Door, which is a short horror film that is also available on IMDb. You can check that out. So when I saw the film, I was like, okay, this is something like this is a very different story, like the story was nice, the characters and and the plot was very nice. So I said, why not create it? And that was my first film I've ever composed. And after that, they liked my work and they gave me two more projects to work on. The next one I worked on was Last Date, which is also another short horror film. And then I worked on another film, which is actually right now in post production, called Past Due. And in the month of October 2023, I got an email from her again saying that the film I did for Beyond the Door won an award for Best Sound and Music at a film festival. And I'm like, really? I was like, no way. So that
No
was like,
clue. You're like,
yeah,
wait, what?
and I mean, that was the first movie I ever done, and also that was the first award I ever gotten from that movie I've done. So
Yeah.
yeah, like a crazy experience. So then from that I got more offers, and now I'm working on another movie which is in pre-production. It is called Lottery, and this film is a feature film, and it is directed by a sister of a Bollywood star, by the way. So that's coming up too. Will be a big movie for sure. And if it goes well, this movie will also be shown to Bollywood too. We'll see how it goes.
Do you do anything in Bollywood now?
Like I do both because like right now I'm focusing on Hollywood because that's where I am. But if what I'm doing right now succeeds, then I'll think of going into Bollywood. But yes, right now I am trying to expand my connections with Hollywood and Bollywood. And I remember now, I actually produced a song for a very popular South Indian movie, which is actually already a blockbuster. It's called Dada. The song I produced was called Poga Day. And how it started was that someone reached out to me from Instagram, and they're always looking for new musicians, who want to collaborate on movie projects. And they reached out to me saying that, you're a multi-instrumentalist, how about you record some things? So I recorded 11 instruments on that song, and yeah, I must say that was my first time working on a South Indian movie, you know, and it
Yeah.
was it was a very different experience. Yeah, and that song already I think 4 million views already on YouTube. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
amazing. Congrats
yeah.
on that. That's
Thank you so
amazing
much.
work. Yes, you are
Yeah,
so deserving.
thank you.
So when you network and stuff like you do
Mhm,
in each of the Hollywood and Bollywood, I've heard you say Instagram a few times, and
mhm,
that's just the way it goes now. That's just kind of where you network now. Is
mhm.
that what you like to do? Just,
Yes. So, for example, like how I network is from performances. I always get called to perform. So from those performances, I get more connections, you get more opportunities. Another thing, of course, social media. That is also another big thing. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. That's another way where I get connections. Also, IMDb, also which is very important too. IMDb is like, you ask me, IMDb is like the most important website if you want to be in the film industry.
yes.
So like those are the kind of thing which I get connections. Also, film festivals too. I also like to attend film festivals so that I can get more connections, to more projects. That's how it
Yes.
works. Yeah.
Yes, so important for those film festivals. I've said it many times on this podcast with my guests, and it is so, and every single one has said film
Mm-hmm.
festivals.
Yes.
Even if you don't have a film going in the film festival, go anyway
Yep.
and meet people. Have business cards, have your QR code ready to go, be ready to network. That's the best
Yes.
way to do it. Really, it is. I'm really glad that you said that. That's so intriguing. So, what do you think, what is next for you? You just have the whole world at
Yeah.
your fingertips. What are you going to do next?
I think my future goals would be to compose for Hollywood films, as mentioned, like for big movies, TV series, commercials, more commercials, and also a new thing which I am starting next is video games. That's one thing which I haven't started yet, so I'm gonna start that very soon. And video games is also another big business. These video games, these people who create video games, always looking for music. So that I'm looking more into. So
Yes. That
yeah.
industry is booming. The VO
Yeah,
for video games is
yeah.
booming.
I mean, for example, like the video games like Call of Duty, Halo. It's like it's like a game you want to play again and again and again. It's a big business. As I mentioned, it's,
It's
it's
a
a big
huge
industry.
business. It really is so huge. It's
Yeah.
a whole thing. It's a
So
whole thing.
So that's what I'm looking into, video games, and maybe, act in big films. That's another thing too. Also compose music for South Indian or Bollywood films. That's another thing we're working on. And also next would be to, perform with big popular bands and artists, and maybe also, if I ever get an opportunity, maybe to write a song for them or to collaborate. So.
Yes.
And for my present goals, I mean the thing which are coming up in this week. So first we have this thing. Actually, have you heard about Bluey before?
Yes.
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 So for the people who don't know about Bluey, Bluey is a very popular animated cartoon show by BBC. So along with that, I'm also an ambassador for Kids Music Day with Keep Music Alive, which is a music organization. It is a non-profit organization. So Keep Music Alive reached out to me, and they said that the popular show Bluey from BBC, they are looking for musicians who can play the team on their instruments so that they can make like a complication video. So I recorded that team on 6 different cultural instruments, and along with that I also created tutorial videos on how to play the Bluey theme on those instruments. So as you know, Kids Music Day is coming up on October 4th. So those videos will be released on October 4th by the Bluey blog post. So do follow the Bluey on Instagram and Facebook, because that's where they will because that's where they will be releasing those videos too.
Okay.
Yes. And of course, this week you have the album release coming up too. I'm collaborating with 2 organizations. One is Keep Music Alive, and also Grow Resilient Families. So I'll be a guest musician for the kids for the upcoming Halloween events. Of course, Halloween, October is here, right?
Yeah.
And lastly, I am working with a production in process. Their company name is Grunder Oakley Productions, and right now I'm working on a short film with them. Right now, the script is ready. Filming will probably begin soon this year or the beginning of next year. So, yeah.
So many exciting things on the horizon. I'm so excited to watch your journey, Neil. This is all because you're so talented, you're dedicated, you're motivated. Keep going and don't quit. And love that you're such an inspiration for your generation and just everybody out there, because you are so talented, and that is something that people aspire to be. Along with your hard work is very respectable. So keep going. At the end of every episode, I love to get to know my guests a little bit more, and I like to ask some personal questions. Not really
Okay.
personal,
Sure.
but we got to know a lot about you, Neil, already. But I do want to ask some fun little questions. If you could live in any decade, which decade would it be and why?
Okay. 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 Huh. Okay, that's tricky. If I could live in any decade, I would choose the 1980s. Why? Looking from the film composing and musician point of view. First of all, that era, 1980s, that was like a groundbreaking for film scores. For example, composers at a time like John Williams, Hans Zimmer, they were pushing the boundaries of cinematic music. And at the time, the rise of synthesizers and this kind of music, gave film scores a new futuristic sound, which blended orchestral elements with cutting edge technology. And looking from as a film composer, I think being a part of the 80s would offer the chance to work on iconic films like, for example, Star Wars, Blade Runner, or Back to the Future. And now, as a musician, I mean, if we're like, in the 1980s, I would really love to, do artists like Michael Jackson or Billy Joel, Elton John. Those were like the popular artists in those days. So yeah.
The 80s was pretty great. So groundbreaking for, I feel like,
Yeah.
a lot of genres too. Like hip hop kind of came
Oh
out in the
yeah.
80s. And then you had like the Beastie Boys sound, which was kind
Yeah.
of hip hop, kind of rock. So it was a lot of groundbreaking.
Yeah. Thing is that the songs are good like nowadays, in our modern generation. But like those songs like 1980s, 1970s, 1990s, or 2000s, those were like the peak. And those songs, they have the real emotion. It was like those songs are like the gem. It's like it's like they're a pure gem. Which can't be taken down because on how the song was created. Of course, at the time technology was not there. And those songs are really really have. And I mean the artists who have worked on the songs have worked a long time. For example, like most of the artists would spend approximately like 1 month to create one song so that it become very popular. Nowadays you can just create a song in just 10 minutes, with the
Right.
help of AI. I mean, it's good, but like that feel, that the kind of energy we're looking for is not there. As you know, AI does not have that
The
kind of
depth
thing.
of the song, like
But
you can't feel it
yeah,
when, yeah, you can't feel it when it's just like a generated song. It's like you
mm,
got to have that time to let it marinate and let the
yeah,
singer and the writer marinate in that work and really let it sink in. Then you
yes,
go in and you lay the track
yeah.
down and you put that, just your heart and soul into it. Another question: if you could write a song for any singer in the world, who would it be?
I'll mention two singers.
Okay.
So I'll start with Dan Reynolds. So Dan Reynolds is the lead singer for the popular band called Imagine Dragons. If you know one of the songs called Believer, that's one of the most popular songs from that band. So why I said Dan Reynolds? Because his voice is so powerful and he has a really emotive voice, and I think which would bring an intensity that would perfectly complement a dynamic song. And looking from the perspective of a musician and film score, I think that would really make a really dynamic cinematic score. And I think his vocal energy is really ideal and for blending orchestral elements with modern rock, creating anthem pieces which are both emotionally charged and musically impactful. And the other singer, Chris Martin, who is the lead singer of the band Coldplay.
I love Coldplay.
Of
I
course,
love
Coldplay, one of my most popular bands. The song Yellow, I mentioned Lifetime, Time for the Weekend. Wow,
It's
those
that
songs.
feeling again. It's the feeling. It
Feeling,
makes you
yeah, I was saying
feel.
again, those songs, Imagine Dragons, Coldplay, they have those feelings.
Yeah,
So, which AI still cannot beat. But coming back to the point, why I chose Chris Martin, because he his his band, his voice is on a way more different new level. Like his voice is soulful. It has an atmospheric quality that really lends itself beautifully uh to a whole new world. Like, it can be used for introspective compositions, and he has the ability to convey deep emotion. Like, I think which will really allow me to craft a song that feels yet expansive. For example, like blending rich harmonies or filmic textures. And I think both singers, Dan Reynolds and Chris Martin, they really have the range and versatility that would inspire unique, emotionally resonant music. So hopefully, if I get a chance to meet both of them, for sure we will create the most hit song ever. So if that happens,
it will manifest it. Neil,
of course,
manifest it.
manifested.
Chris Martin, I'm more familiar with him, and his voice is very full. I love your answer. I love that it revolves around a genuine connection that you want with them to create a beautiful sound, music.
Yeah, I was saying, do check my website, which will be mentioned in the description, or just type my name on Google, Neil Nayyar. You'll see it there.
There you go.
I'm also working with a production company called Gwender Oakley Productions. I'm working on a short film with them at the moment. The script is ready. We'll be planning to film that early next year, where I'll also be acting in this film and also composing music for that film too. So yeah.
Yes. And all that information will be in the summary description, where to contact Neil, where to see his work, hear his work, his Instagram. Again, Neil, you are so talented and I admire your work ethic. I can't wait to see what you do, the ripples that you make in this world. I love your positive mindset that you have.
Thank you.
I think that you are a gem in this industry and you need to be protected at all costs. And we will see you in so many things in the future. I just want to thank you for coming on. Contact Neil. Information is below. Thank you guys. Have a great week. And what's your ambitious goal for the week? Bye.